Hello, and how are you doing from wherever you are watching us right about now? This is Debate 4 on 1, and finally we have moved the time, and it is from 9 to 10 p.m. The days to find us right here where you're watching us right now is Mondays and Wednesdays. Don't say I didn't tell you. My name, as always, is Eugene Anangwe. It's time to debate. And of course, the matter that we're putting on the table today concerns the issue of HIV and AIDS transmission. And the motion today is to reduce or roll back these numbers of new HIV and AIDS infections, supply condoms everywhere, including at schools. And of course, my panelists right here in the program, those who are on the proposing side, we have Bona Butera. Welcome to Debate 4 on 1.
Thank you so much.
He's from the Society for Family Health.
Yes.
And of course, we have Cyrus, who's also a colleague of Bona Butera. Welcome to Debate 4 on 1.
Thank you.
The opposing side, Caroline Dinya, who was a teacher and now says she's an entrepreneur and a consultant when it comes to teaching matters. Welcome to Debate 4 on 1.
Thank you, Eugene.
And this is a face that you've been seeing lately right here on Rwanda TV, Fiona Mbabazi. Welcome to Debate 4 on 1.
Thank you, Anangwe.
Now, let's start off with the proposing side. Bona Butera, very quickly, looking at the issue of HIV and AIDS transmission and the choices that we have when it comes to the issue of reducing these infections. We have abstinence. We have the issue of advocating for being faithful. And then there's the issue of using of condoms. Why do you feel that now it's time to look at the issue of use of condoms more?
Thank you. You know, the issue of condoms stretches back way like in 16th century or 15th century. It's not really a recent case. We are only trying to adopt it. And if you read in the last years, condom use has scaled up because of the diseases, the STIs, sexually transmitted infections. It is not really like a case that just cropped up yesterday. It's been a case that has been happening. It's been a battle for big time. So we are only trying to say, if, like you stated, we have three categories.
Yes.
Of abstinence, being faithful, or using a condom. It's a third pillar that we need to really look at. It's something we emphasize much because we've realized that most of these, the previous two, people have failed to really adopt the principle of being abstaining and the principle of being faithful. So we opted for a third option, but in tandem with the other two that I mentioned.
Right.
So it's just trying to really gauge if somebody fails on this platform, he can always take on the other option. Of using a condom. We are not pushing on the condoms as a sole tool to prevent HIV and other STIs. We are pushing both or all the three components. But if failure of imagination, if you have failure of imagination to abstain and being faithful, kindly opt for this. Because the price of using a condom is minimal to the price of losing your life. So that's why we encourage people to take on using condoms if they cannot really take on
the proposing side has already made their case clear. Caroline, do you really feel that it is time to engage gear number 3? And say, we have failed on gear number 1, which is abstinence. We are failing on gear number 2, which is being faithful. Let's put gear 3 right now.
Not really. I'm really not going to agree with my brother Butera here. What am I talking about? Knowledge is very important. And we really know that ignorance is lack of knowledge. But I will go to this. Knowledge is knowing what to give or what to say, and wisdom is when. That is where I bring my point. What am I talking about? Even in the traditional cultures, or maybe religion cultures, we did not have condoms. And the rate of HIV and AIDS, our parents, our great-parents, was not there, all right? So they managed to stay without these condoms. Children were respectful. They knew at what age or level to engage in sex and sexual activities. What has happened that now this cannot happen, that we are now finding a very end solution by distributing condoms to children in schools? Where have we gone wrong? Can we teach these children what's expected of them? Can we parents, adults, and guardians show morality and do what's expected of them? The society is missing it. Why am I saying this? If I give a standard for a condom, what have I told this child? You can go on having sex everywhere and anywhere with anyone in the name of, I have a condom here. Let's go have sex. Yeah. What will happen? We will protect this. I feel we should go back to the drawing board and find out what is it that we are not doing, or what is it that we are doing.
Cyrus, time to check or go back and find out where the rain started beating us on this issue of burying our heads in the sand and saying our kids are not actually having sex, or should not have sex, or should not have condoms. This is what she's saying, that in the olden days, what happened until we got to this point of now going to this solution or this idea of looking for a way of mass distribution of these condoms to reduce rates of HIV and AIDS?
Yeah, actually, to my view, if you're looking at this point, she's actually highlighting about the kids, but I'm looking at the specifically maybe on HIV and looking at the reproductive age. That means at least everyone from 15 to 49 and above. But if you're looking at this age group, to me, it is where I'm focusing it on. So firstly, we would first understand, why are we actually talking about condoms? Is it for pleasure? Is it just because for fun? Why is it? Why are we talking condoms? Because first, if we don't understand that, we would actually not buy the idea why we should actually be talking even condoms at this point. So we are only talking condoms because in our tradition, like she has been saying, there were no HIV, but to me, that wouldn't mean that there were no sexual intercourse happening, but maybe because there were no virus. But now, since by the rate it happened, it found, actually that means that HIV came because it found the intercourse were already going on. So it means we're now taking on to see what is happening, what can we do, since now the HIV is here, what to do.
So you feel they are burying their heads in the sand, not looking at the real issue,
so we are
that people are having sex at this productive age of 15, and so they need these condoms.
And
Fiona.
And
basically, Anangwe, my first question would be, what is a 15-year-old boy or girl doing having sex? I mean, we grew up, to us, some of us, sex was a taboo. You couldn't even sit or talk. Even touching a condom was a taboo. I mean, where have we failed? I think the first question here should be, where have we failed? Why do you insist that a 15-year-old boy or girl should have a condom? It is reality, as you put it. Yes, they are probably having sex. But you as a parent, as a grown-up, why do you give them the go-ahead? Giving them a condom is like saying, okay, do what you can do with it.
Just a minute, sorry, let me cut short.
Before you come in, Caroline.
That's not true. I think I also need to really illuminate the panelists into this discussion. That even in the old ages, condoms were made. If you read an opinion piece that was published in 1861 in the New York Times, it stated about condoms, on how condoms should be used. And it dated back even during King Charles of England, when the concept of Mr. Condom, when it's being questioned in 1667.
The point here is what?
The point is, I'm trying to say the old tradition, dating back to the old tradition she mentioned. The concept of condoms has been existing and trying to limit both, because a condom takes two perspectives. It's a dual protection tool, because it controls birth and it prevents you from being infected with STIs. When you read the Egyptian history, the condoms were there. When you read Italy history, the concept of condom was there. Even the Americas, including the northern, the present US or the Canadians. And so the concept of tradition, that I think, to me, I wanted to iron it out, thinking or trying to limit ourselves in the recent past without necessarily dating it back to the old history, like history puts it. On the other concept, to me, I think it's a question of character. Question, you know, we want to sound moralist and we avoid the reality on ground.
Is this what they're doing?
Yes.
Caroline, you just want to sound moral, but you're just not accepting the reality on the ground.
Well, I want to sound moral and encourage it and practice it. Here is not a case where somebody is preaching water and drinking wine. And this is where the society has gone wrong. I do agree with you, my brother. Condom rates back. But what was the main use of the condom? Even if it was even STI or those diseases, I don't think so. I think I would look at condom mainly as a main use of birth control or something like that. Well, for sex, we are bringing the issue of multiple sexual partners. That is actually some people, majority of people currently, isn't it? Why am I going to use a condom, isn't it? This lady may be meeting 2 or 3 men, isn't it? Which I am not sure of. You see now the rot in the society. But here it's a case where we are talking about use of condom for the right purpose. Even the married couple can decide, we don't want to get another baby, all right? We don't want to go for that birth controls or something like that. So the man, the husband accepts that he should be using the condom as a way of protection. A very clear thing, which is acceptable, understandable, all right? By every other person.
But where is the problem?
The problem is when now we want to talk about this condom issue from the bedroom to the sitting room to the kitchen to the playing ground. Because by the time even this 15-year-old girl or boy is carrying a condom in class, the teacher will want to start having sex relationship with the student. Why? You know about sex. You have a condom. I have a condom. Why can't we do it? Isn't it? Even the adults, we are also going to have people, I don't know, who are going to rape using condoms. So I feel that can we reduce, can we avoid the talking of condom to the youth, to the children, sorry. Let me talk about an age up to below 19. Can we let them grow up? Let children be children. Let youth be youth. Let them grow up knowing what's expected of them.
Absolutely.
Cyrus, before you come in, Cyrus, what do you feel of these particular points that she makes? Because at the end of the day, Fiona also mentions that the more you show them this condom, the more you're opening up their minds to having sex.
Yeah, actually, like to their point of view, it's like I like when she's saying the by teacher by profession. When you're looking at the teens that you're teaching about the reproductive health, and people, children coming to know about how their body works and all that. Actually, I don't think by that time we are transforming them to go, okay, now this is how it works, now go practice. So I think we tell them, this is how it works, and the right timing also is involved. So with the condom, when you're talking about the condom, we just don't tell people, go have condom, now you're set free, but it's telling them, this is the purpose of the condom, when to use a condom, you see, and it is not telling actually, like she mentioned, like if you're telling the people and supply condom, it's like now you have a condom, now just go have sex. I'm bringing an example for, we have seen like the police is an example, they're having the guns all over. We are staying with them every day, they have the guns, but having the gun, they don't tell them go shoot everyone who you meet.
The argument
but
probably
now
police
here,
are trained.
But now is,
yes.
So when we're talking about the condom education and about, we tell them about the use of the condom, the purpose, and when to use actually the condom. So it is not one pack like, I distribute a condom, I don't tell you how to use it, because actually even the condom, having a condom is one thing, using it is another thing, but using it correctly is another thing. But using it also consistently is also another case.
So
but,
there is actually a big package.
But let me ask you something.
Yes.
With the current world, the digital world,
Yes.
where these students or these children, I'm talking as a teacher's perspective, a parent, a mother, all that, okay?
Yeah.
With the current world where these students watch everything in the media, are you getting something like that? Yes, condom is announced and advertised, and everybody is seeing it. I watched around Yabugogo, in fact, you see that billboard there with those condoms looking like sweets, all right? And my daughter asked me, what is that? All right, that's the time I should take responsibility and say, look here, these are condoms, they're used for protecting, not even the diseases. I would bring they're used by adults, all right, to for family
is
planning.
This what you told your daughter?
Yes, this is what I would still tell her at this particular time. I will tell her these are condoms, they're a form of family planning method so that you don't get many children whom you cannot take care of. Why am I going to this at this particular time? At her age, 9 years old, I will do that. At 13 years old, I will tell them, look here, you're sexually active, you're in adolescence period, all right? You've seen changes taking place in your body. Should you involve yourself in any sexual relationship with a man or a boy, you'll get pregnant, you can get disease. So gradually, my issue here is gradual information being given at different ages. And we try to push it.
And what they're arguing here is they're saying, yes, and this is the information we're giving them, that you need to use protection. When you get to a sexually active age, you need to protect yourself. And it's almost the same thing that you're saying. But would you tell them to abstain or use protection?
I would encourage abstinence a lot. I would encourage it. I would encourage even for the adults who are in college, I will tell them, you are sexually active. You're going to have a relationship or a sexual with somebody who is not legally. You get that? Legally your husband or your wife. That is somebody in college. That's the time you may use a condom. I'm talking about college students. But in between here, I will discourage this talk. People, what you don't know does not harm you. Isn't it?
Do you agree, Butera?
I really like
that if they don't know about the condom, they will not use it. They will not even think about it. Is this the right approach?
You know, she really mentioned something like, in this current generation where content is accessed, you have free access across different time zones. Content about sex, content about sexuality, content about safe measures. They're all accessed at different time zones. Now, to me, ignoring the component of condom is failure of imagination. Trying to think that doesn't happen. Really, like my colleague said at SFH, we talk about abstinence as the first major component that we encourage people to take responsibility for. And then we second those who are married to be faithful to each other. And those are the key. We follow the ABC concept. I think most of you have been exposed to ABC concepts. But we don't try to imagine that the way Carol understands is the same way others do understand. We don't have a standard measure to gauge that everyone thinks it like Fiona, everyone thinks it like Carol. No, we assume we have other people who think contrary to what you think. That's why we have sex education in schools. We have sex education in primary, secondary, and university level. We have anti-AIDS clubs in schools. So what do these clubs talk about? They talk about preventive measures. Preventive measures or care or anything, but they want to emphasize the point of trying to say HIV prevalence is at this rate. You contract HIV through these channels.
And the opposing side's point of argument is, why don't we concert all our effort in advocating more and more and more and even more about abstinence?
Let me say to you, Anangwe, you know, humanity is something, if there's something very complicated as a human being, try to put a post somewhere and put something, do not read. People would read for that reason. If you say kindly read, they won't read. But if you say do not read this, people are going to read for that. So we try to bring this for people to feel it's a normal product, and should you really be tempted to do this, you have free access, it is acceptable to society, you can always protect yourself.
But
I told you one thing when I was beginning, that the cost of minimizing this concept is much smaller than the cost the country is incurring today. If we have 200 people infected with HIV, it's a big cost for a country. It's a country's budget that we are using. Your individual, it shifts from an individual to becoming a society
issue. Fiona, you're banning to jump in.
But still, my point would be, I mean, it's good that you give them condoms, but my whole issue here is giving condom to the young ones. At this rate, do you even tell them that they can get herpes just by kissing someone?
We don't
I mean,
really.
this is a time of kind of STIs that these kids do not know. You might give them a condom, they say yes, okay, fine, I'll not have sex because I'm told not to use a condom, or rather a condom is not that. But have you told them that besides a condom, you can get any STI, some kinds of STI like herpes, or just by kissing someone?
No, Anangwe,
That's why I go back to the point of abstinence. Tell your kids, please. I mean, some children grew up without knowing having sex until they were 30 or rather 20. They didn't die. Who died of abstinence? I mean, really. So abstinence should be the point where every parent or any other organization should start from. Abstain. Condoms are there, but hey, you still have time.
I think what we are saying is we are on the same page. Because to me, I believe this is something that we told you we really emphasize every other time. We are a behavior change organization, and we make sure that every other step we make, there's a component of abstinence. But we cannot ignore the fact that people are really very curious to know what is it you talked about. We did study biology, everyone.
Yes.
You say you've been exposed to this, and I've never, for example, in my case, I've never taken any beer ever since I was born. But I grew up, my dad was drinking, but I didn't touch it because it's not because I was told do not. That's when I told you a question of character, question of morality. There's a way you're made different from the way I'm made. Naturally, you have natural principles that really guide you. I was exposed. I had peers, but I have made sure I don't drink up to date.
So the kids who are having sex right now,
no, to me, and we don't encourage young kids to go and have sex. We are saying, should you be tempted? Because it's something, you've had wedlocks, you've had unwanted pregnancies. Why do we call them unwanted? The concept unwanted means you didn't want it. It so happened. It is an accident, probably. But we're saying, should you face such challenges, kindly remember, that's why it's called it's a third option. If you read, there's an article, I put in the East African newspaper, and I said we need to speak about the component of C. It should not be a taboo. And I've told you, dating back all those years in the...
It existed. But Caroline wants to come in, and she has a question.
I agree with you, Uchera. Okay. You're on the right track, you people. Your point comes last, means that it's not pressure, all right. But how are we going to handle the C part of it? The condom. Abstinent, good, 100%. Being faithful to your partner or one partner, well, I don't want to talk about that. Because even married couples are not even faithful.
But you've been,
you get that, isn't it? But we will still encourage it. Now, we are having the option of C, that is the condom. But now, what I still repeat and I still say, as a teacher, I will still go back to that. Well, I still do teach on and off. The teacher knows everything. An adult knows everything. So the information you stand up and give in front of the class, guys, it sticks like nothing else in their heads, all right? Remember, these children are also sexually active. There's the digital world that is happening there, that is going around, everybody speaking anything. There's the issue of irresponsibility of the parents or guardians who are now busy making more money to make ends meet, not even their wish, all right? To make ends meet, all right? So here we are having this child, whether he's 16, all right, and he says that, okay, fine, I don't need to engage myself in a sexual activity. All right, maybe I should have one partner. But again, this is the period when they are more sexually active and they're even competing. I've slept with one girl, I'm in the third one, I'm in the fourth one. Yes, the condom will really come in handy. But why don't we go back and say, let's just avoid this sex before it reaches marriage time? Because fine, you're talking about character. Yes, this boy will say, should I be interested in sex? Let me use a condom. The other one will now be buying condoms every now and then. That is what he is doing.
Is that wrong?
Yes, that will be wrong.
It will be wrong.
It will be wrong.
Will it be wrong?
It will be wrong even the person selling the condoms.
I think that's what we're
for someone selling the condoms?
Yes, I mean, as much as they're free in data. And who is this boy who wants to lift the hand and say, teacher, I need 3 condoms? They'll even be hiding, stealing money, going to the shops to look for it.
I think, Carol, where you're
Just hold the thought, Butera, because we need to take a very quick break here. We're coming back, we'll move the conversation from just where you want to go. And of course, Carol, stay armed to back up your point that you just made earlier on. Thank you so much. Stay with us. This is Debate 4-on-1. We're talking about the C debate, that is the condom. And of course, the question we have for you is, what is your thought about the issue of condoms in the A, B, and C concept when it comes to rolling back numbers of new HIV and AIDS infections. Would a mass supply of these condoms to all places, including schools, help us roll back the numbers of new HIV and AIDS infections? That's the question we're asking ourselves right here on the program. And of course, we would love to see your thoughts out there. Use the hashtag debate411. You can tweet me directly at Eugene Anangwe or tweet at debate411. We're coming back in just a moment. Stay with us.
Lock them out. But if you're coming to our church and there are clear guidelines about dressing, you come knowing that I have to put on a long skirt.
Again, we say you have all these kind of people coming to church and who are not Christians, who do not ascribe to your rules and regulations.
Is this, and my point is this: from OAU to AU, it is more than 50 years, because OAU was started in 1963. This is 2015.
And he said it took China 20 years only.
Why haven't you? Why are you Africans not paying your bills? Why are you not paying AU's bills?
I talked of a political way. I talked of a political way.
So the dress code, especially our sisters, when they put in miniskirts or the very tight one, it will be a problem. If this is not it's not a matter of pastors standing on the pulpit and teach, do this and this. They must understand it for themselves.
It is not a case of negotiations. It is a case of bringing back the regime and the President Nkurunziza to his senses.
But what can you do if you are producing the best product or the best thing that you can do as a professional, and still you have this very few buyers?
You cannot be faint-hearted, you cannot be soft and cope up with journalism. You have to be tough.
We need to see how do we prepare the youth to be able to create jobs. How many can actually understand issues to do with finance? They can't even separate between a bank account and a wallet.
And welcome back. Thank you so much for being with us right here on Debate 411. Right here, we're not having a discussion, we're not having a conversation. We're having a debate on the issue of condoms, and your thoughts are very much welcome. Let's keep this conversation going on from wherever we are watching at. And of course, my panelists today, we have Butera, we have Cyrus, Fiona is here, and none other than Caroline. And before we went for the break, we were all arguing out on this issue of the accessibility of condoms and whether when a 16-year-old buys condoms, and as Caroline said, you will find others now, their work is just to buy more condoms. And I was asking whether this would be wrong or it would be right. And you're quick to say that it would be correct, it would be okay. Could you substantiate that?
Yeah, that's why I'm really like, sometimes in Africa we need to refer to other countries that have moved on to make these moves. Like in the US, like in India, we have countries that are really affected by HIV or AIDS. And they have moved on to educate their kids of the same age you're struggling to protect about sex, about condoms. And this is the same thing we really face in our schools when we put anti-AIDS club or a sex educative club in a school. One of the things they discuss is all about reproductive health. And when they discuss about reproductive health, there's an implication, or that necessarily constitutes a component of how to protect yourself. And when you do that, you cannot ignore the component of using a condom. I give a case when in 1981, when they discovered HIV, they were like, we shouldn't really encourage use of condoms. I think Elizabeth, there's a feminist called Elizabeth Blackwell, something of that sort. She was against, just as like Fiona and Carol. And they were like, no, there's no need for use of condoms. But at the end of the day, they realized the condom is much protective than anything. It is of dual protection, and it was a good thing.
Are you trying to say the condom is much protective than information on abstinence?
Because we've done that, I've told you. Human beings are really like complicated human beings. If you said do not read, people would read
They
it
will
for
go for
that
that.
sake.
Fiona, do you agree?
No, absolutely, Anangwe. The thing is, if I had a 16-year-old boy, would I give him a condom? Yes, absolutely. But the thing would be, my son, this is a condom. In case, you're tempted, in case. But the rule is abstain. I would prefer you as my child, please abstain for this and these reasons. Not only does a condom protect you from not having kids, from not getting AIDS, but a condom does not protect you from all STIs. I mean, like we've mentioned, you can get herpes, you can get any other thing just from kissing someone. Yeah, this is the world that we live in. But the truth of the matter, are the kids having sex? Yes. Should we give them condoms? Yes. But to what rate? You understand? Then
are you sort of crossing the border? Or
I am not yet crossing because I still insist. We should abstain. No, my message is let's abstain.
Should we give them? Yes.
I think we are picking it from the angle.
Yeah.
I was like, if you're looking at the sexually productive age, it is where I'm actually highlighting this. I think we only need to help everyone have information, and we help people to have informed choices. I think this is all we are having to do. Because if I'm talking about the family planning as an example, there should be a wide range of methods to use in a place. And then that's why actually if we give all the information, and then like my colleague said, because of my nature or because of my preference, then I would switch to use A or I switch to use B. So I should not actually force someone to be in the category, to use the category A, because at the end, once it happens to you to not B, might jump out of the box and go the other end. So it's better, everything is put on the table, and you're like, so everything is like this, and then you help someone to have the information.
But Cyrus, this is a 15-year-old boy.
Yes.
Why are you giving a 15-year-old boy the choice to move from A and straight to C?
No, but we didn't say that like my colleague said.
You said you can give them the choices of A, B, C, and let them decide. They are not yet adults enough to know the repercussions. That's why we have kids
by nature.
having unwanted pregnancies.
This is something that is really determined by nature. I've told you, if you have kids, try to tell them, do not do this. They'll do that.
Obviously.
You guys. So it's not a matter of giving them choices. We are only trying to act upon the way our memories work. We are trying to really work with your psychology to get to know how do human beings really react.
But just one question.
As you ask the question, Caroline, let me also ask this to you, and then you'll probably also shoot it to him. Do you feel that the NGOs or those who are working around the issues of sensitization against the spread of HIV and AIDS are now giving up on the A and B and taking a quick shortcut to now just say, let's go
That is very true. Why am I coming into that? I've kind of worked with an organization. Actually, I've been promoting this. Knowledge is very important. Let me go back to that end. Ignorance has no defense. But what knowledge are we giving? What is positive knowledge and what is negative knowledge? What is the age bracket we are talking about? I want to bring you back. I've done some little promotion to the use of sanitary pads to girls, all right? And the way I do it, or the way we did it was, these girls, they're those who have never used a sanitary pad. You get it? Even if you give them, they will say thank you. So my responsibility will be to take a sanitary pad, sit down with these girls, tell them what is a sanitary pad, when is it supposed to be used, how is it supposed to be used. You start by talking about the menstruation period, isn't it? How does that come? That comes when you're mature enough, your body changes, your breast grows, so that by the time this blood starts flowing, isn't it? The ladies are prepared psychologically. Then you go further and say, this is the time that your body is getting mature. Should you involve yourself in any affairs, sexual relationship, you're going to get pregnant. So you see, this should come from a gradual growth of, if I go do this, this will happen. Yes, the changes in my body is taking place because of this. I feel that if this is well done, to be very honest, the girls or the men, and the boys are also put aside. They don't use pads, isn't it? during adolescence, when you're growing, you're having pubic hair growing, isn't it? Clean them, be clean, or something like that.
Link to the topic?
Yeah, link to the topic. So that at this particular time you tell them, this is the time when you get engaged in a girl. Are you getting that? You're likely to father a child, okay? So this, how do you call it? This education should be more stressed as they grow up. And you tell them, well, this is the way you should go, and avoid having affairs, relationship, sexual, something like that.
You don't mention the issue of
And you don't
condom.
mention the issue of condom. I feel that it should come from that particular time. Well, I'm beautiful. Yes, I have breasts. A girl with breasts is a very proud person. So they don't see themselves as something is wrong with me. So I feel the NGOs or whatever with the groups, isn't it, should bring more real life situations to these students and these people.
Yeah, actually, like she's saying, talking about.
But is this the case? Is this how it is handled?
That's how we
Yeah,
do
this
it.
is how we do it. Like he said, we have all these categories. We have the abstinence. We're actually enforcing the abstinence.
The ratio of the enforcement of abstinence and the use of condoms is at what rate?
Almost the same.
Really?
Is it 50-50?
But actually, I think it depends to the category. Because when you're talking here about the HIV, we are looking at the global, the general population that is cross-cutting issue and cross-cutting the age. So like you've been saying, actually, if you're talking about the youth, we have the package for the youth, designed for the youth. And if we are talking about the adults, we know the big percentage and where to put much efforts. And if you're looking at the HIV, as we are talking of now, to the case of Rwanda, we are looking at for example, we are looking at the 51% of the female sex workers, the composition. If you're looking at this age, at this category of the female sex workers, comprising of the 51%, it's big. And if you were looking at this, you're not
51% with HIV.
With the
prevalence.
HIV. And when we are looking at the new HIV infections or transmissions, 46% is from the female sex workers. So you can understand how this big is. So if we're talking about the condom versus the HIV, we are also looking at the data. Where do we have which the category that is comprised or faced by with the HIV, and what is the characters. So the package of the message depends to the reality on the field. So everything we are doing is the evidence-based. It's from the science, it's from the research. And therefore, we are not saying we are 100% forcing on condoms. It depends which type of the group and we are talking about. What is the lifestyle around this category?
So Fiona, they are saying they're arguing with science. They're arguing with backed up facts and research. And that sort of tries to say that you are just emotional.
Anangwe, it's not a matter of emotions. Like he's put it well, depending with the target group. I mean, if we're talking of adults who engage with sexual workers, I mean, put condoms even on the street. I'm for that, right? But my issue would be with the youth, with the young ones. We can't be raising a youth, we can't be raising young ones who feel having sex at 15 is okay. Having sex before you're 18 is okay. To me, that's the major issue. But before they become 18, how about tell them, listen, you will not die by not having sex until you're 18. How about you know there is a condom, but chill. There's something we used to say back in the days, chill, you know, to chill. Chill and just wait for the right time. You will not die.
Actually,
Let's not insist on using condoms.
There is what my colleague here highlighted about the nature, about the biological. It's good that you're a teacher, and you know, sometimes I would say I'm not hungry, but it doesn't mean I'm not hungry. No. You see, I might say I'm not hungry, but actually I'm hungry.
I think
so. With when the health reproductive, the active, if I was saying, the sexual reproductive age, if these guys are already active, you will tell, so don't have sex and what? And like he said, he's like, oh, I actually started to feel it. Maybe he's already starting to do it, you see? But we only need to have the information, and like the parenting, like the grooming, we only need to have where to reinforce.
On a lighter note, on a lighter note.
On a lighter note, then we
come
to him.
Are you married?
No.
Are you married?
No.
You're married? Okay, thank you. This is even better.
Yes.
So you've gone to a party, all right, and you've seen a beautiful lady like this. And you tell her, okay, fine, I'm interested in you, all right. Then she says, okay, that is good. Then you see her bag, she's trying to remove lipstick, okay?
Yeah.
Then you see 2 packets of condom, right?
Yeah.
And then you ask her, what is this? These are condoms. What about them? I walk with them. How would you take that?
Very positive.
Me, I would be very happy to see that.
I believe.
Be honest.
That's
be
why
honest.
we're saying,
Especially if it's your wife.
Yes, please be honest.
Especially if it's your
we are
wife.
struggling with the mind, psychology, the way people have to look at things. We've even condom penetration in Rwanda has been really a very strong battle because of the taboos. We used to have taboos. Even in Kenya, you've seen the adverts, people are like, you know, the case you're giving is an advert, I think, from Citizen. And people were like, I think, picking a condom because we want people to adopt it, find it. What they consider as abnormal, they should begin looking at as normal. People should begin to see that as a positive thing. Because whatever the case, even if you don't use a condom, you'll cheat. Whether you have it or not, you are going to cheat. So we are saying, instead of cheating, there's a cost of cheating, but there's also a cost that is bigger than cheating when you contract a disease, when you are affected by this disease. When you take an unwanted pregnancy, it is going to be a big cost for you. So it's better. For me, I would take it a very positive way, and I would just take her as like.
So you would be fine. You would be fine. If it's your wife, for instance, she's removing something from her purse. Normally in your house, you don't use them, but then you find her with it in her purse.
Yeah, actually, there are also that brings us to the barriers of even condom use because of the perceptions. Because, for example, if I'm staying in zone, maybe in the area of Kachiru, it's an example, and you were dressing your hair maybe from Remera, and you saw your neighbor in Kachiru buying a condom in Remera, would you actually mean that this man is taking the condom for family planning at home, or you would think he has someone, or he's cheating around in Remera? So this is a perception that comes up in mind. But to me, we would find it more positive. You are like, okay, maybe this guy, he's at the office, he's working busy. Maybe he's just having the condom. By the time he gets up, he might not be having the time to go in the boutique or the shop. Then he will have already bought the condom and is going home because they adopted the condom for family planning methods. So we should break down that perception if I say condom and then what runs up in my mind. So I think using a condom, because I'm stressing out on HIV incidents that is happening. We are not talking about something that we think it is not going to happen. We are talking because the situation is evidently
where the 35 million people are infected with HIV
condom use, like on condom use, most of the sex, they're more, if I can say, they're more happening on impulse. You're talking about the wedding party. You did not plan to have sex, but it's just by the impulse. So it takes, by the time you use a condom, it will need the environment. If you have it, then the percentage of using it will have increased. The chances to increase it. So that's why actually we would promote, like, if the mass distribution is okay, because that would promote, if you can get a condom at any time you need it, then it will increase the chances of using a condom. But in that trend, we tell people when to use, how to use. It is not just throwing it in the community. It's not just encouraging.
So the main thing that he's saying here is, wherever you are, whoever you are, have a pack of condoms in your bag.
That is if, for example, like she said, we have moralists. If you look at, you know, I've read widely into this. When people were agitating for this, the Anglican Church are the first people to accept the use of condom, and the Catholic Church came and said, no, I think this would contravene the natural laws of giving birth. But the fact is, in 1981, this disease crops up. So what do? You cannot immunize this person from
it's already
being infected with HIV. If we had such a vaccination, that would be great. We wouldn't really encourage Carol or Fiona to take up the use of condom. But we can't. The only method is we would rather have you, Carol, really taking or using the condom than not having you at all.
Fiona, as we move closer to the end of the program, why or what would be the red flags if he's saying that we would encourage the mass distribution of these condoms so that accessibility is easy,
Yeah.
so it increases the rate of using them
Yeah.
and not compared to not using them, as you said. So what would be the red flags? What would be the danger points of this move?
The danger point for me right now would be for you giving schools, primary schools, secondary schools, condoms. As much as we want to admit that they are having sex, yes, that's the reality of life. That's where we are at this stage in life. But the reality is, how about we go back to the morals? How about we go back to our culture? How about we instill this into our children? I mean, some of us grew not knowing what sex was. Some of us grew not knowing what a condom was. And by the time you know what a condom is, or you saw it on the ground, you would run. You know, it scared you. That fact just scares you. So if you're going to give condoms, give it to adults, put it in bars where people have ID, you know, where they can make their own choice. But the time the kid is still in my house, I'm afraid they're going to live by my rules. Yeah.
Cyrus?
Yeah, actually, like what she's saying, even if the adult, we don't just give the condoms to whoever. Just because you're an adult, it means that you're not abstaining, or it doesn't mean that you're faithful. But to me, I'm saying, let condoms be accessible. Whoever needs a condom can easily get it. To me, that is my discussion
But
point.
who is whoever? That's my question.
The question
A 5-year-old could be whoever.
Let me tell you.
Let
me tell you, Fiona.
To me, I would say, if that kid is already sexual active and is looking for a condom and misses it, then she or he is going to be infected by HIV or unwanted pregnancy cases.
Again,
so what should we do in such a case?
If I'm to back up his point, is we need a dual responsibility of even parents and kids, nurturing your kid in the right manner. Like we told you, we've not changed the order of the ABC concepts.
No.
We are not saying shifting C to B.
No. Is that how it looks like?
I feel that's what they're trying to do. I feel. Why am I talking about this? He talked about whoever and wherever is accessible can get it.
Sure.
And what I'm still supporting my sister here. People, even those adults that we are talking about, are you getting that? I don't think even in our own system, I know you're trying your best from whatever angle you're working for and you're trying to encourage. But even for the adults themselves, I think that this should not really be encouraged. What are we talking about? I mean, the same way you say that sex does not take place in planned areas, all right? If you went to a disco, you met a beautiful chick, you had wine, by the time the morning reaches, you're holding hands, you're going out or something like that. And by the fact that you have a condom here, isn't it? You've already set, a new sex is also in the mind, isn't it? By the time they're talking and drinking wine, they're talking one or two things in whispers. By the time they're moving and say, oh, by the way, I have 2 packets of condom here. I mean, what's the big issue?
And the argument is, would it be better if you had that packet of condoms or no,
if you didn't have it? We're looking at the risk.
Sorry, no, let's just say
again, there's something. There's something Fiona mentioned.
Let's
so as we roll back,
there's something Fiona mentioned, and she touched it and said we should not supply condoms in school. We really that would be a great idea.
In primary and secondary schools,
because we anticipate from primary to secondary that is 18 years. It's just like a beer. We said.
18.
You should not serve this beer to persons under 18. It's a very great idea. But don't we have those kids drink beer? They do. So we are saying, okay, if that is the case, because we have cases where we have young kids taking beer, probably they are taking on, they are seeing their parents, and even parents give them. And it is something they're feeding on. But the country, the responsibility of a nation is to make sure that they pass on this message. Even on the bottle, there's something, if you're not 18, do not take it. So it's the same thing we really want to encourage. In schools, that would be another angle. But how about if they go for their holidays? What happens? They are going to mix with Fiona. They are going to go to bars. They go for birthday parties into this. So what happens in that particular case?
So who do we blame? The parents, or who do we blame? The education system?
That's what we're saying. We need a dual responsibility. responsibility, teachers should really make sure, take on that mantle, because 24 hours they are with these kids.
Correct.
They need to teach
Correct.
these
That I
people
agree.
how they should do this. But even when they go home, parents should take that responsibility, but they should also have sex education.
Correct.
They should
Correct.
Talk to them.
Talk to them. And
Now,
they should
My point is sex education.
As we
That
end.
is, I will.
But
I-
they should
I will-
also not ignore the component of the condom when you're talking about sex
Oh,
education,
obviously,
because
yeah.
HIV is affecting people from 15 to 49.
Yeah.
That means they're also accommodated.
I feel sex education should be encouraged and talked about openly, not this idea of trying to touch one thing with the tip of your finger.
exactly.
I feel the issue of sex education should be talked about, encouraged, and talked about at different levels, from home, from schools, from churches.
Exactly.
And as you do that, would you openly mention the issue of the condoms? Or would you want that issue of condoms also mentioned along the way of this sex education?
Yeah, I feel it can be mentioned, but not as point A. All right? And the age group should also be considered. As Fiona says, 20 and above, all right? Sexually active, thinking of getting married, affairs,
you can
something like
mention
that.
that.
Actually, at 15,
Fiona,
that's right.
in closing.
In closing, Anangwe, my whole idea is this, and especially to the kids or to the children who will be watching this show, you know, if you're 15 and under, you have the whole world to yourself. Sex is not going anywhere. No, I mean, the man you feel you love today probably not be the man you feel you love when you're 30 or 40 or 50. Take your time. We used to have a slogan back in the days, to me chill. And, you know, it gave you so much oomph, so much pleasure in saying, me chill. I don't have time for you. Right now, I have time for education. By the time you're 16, 17, yes, you're learning. You're probably learning. You're very curious. But how about you let your curiosity till when you can absolutely have the time to have a kid, take responsibility of the kid, run around, look for a job. I mean,
So
that's
they should
fine.
chill.
For kids, chill. For the adults, condoms.
Cyrus,
chill. Yeah.
in closing.
In closing, I'm actually embarking, like we are talking about abstinence, faithfulness, and condom use. So to me, that's my angle. And also, like we're talking about the evidence-based, if you're talking to category A, to the students, maybe in the university or in the primary or other people, adults, we need to have the evidence-based science. And why are we talking this message? Why are we carrying this message to group A? So this should be a driving force, the baseline. For example, if the government for today, with the evidence-based, they find that actually there is a need to distribute the condoms in the primary, in the secondary, for example, but based on the evidence-based, there have to be a research showing that considering in Rwandan context, we have realized that based on this research and what, there is need for condoms.
But today there is no, is there?
But if not for that,
So far,
then,
so good.
You know, so far, so good.
Yes, Butera, picking up from what he says,
Yeah,
is there any research?
I
Do we
also
need them now?
believe
Are we in a crisis?
We need, I think, a quantitative research.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because what we said is pure qualitative. So we don't necessarily need to be qualitative. We need to be quantitative. So, and the first quantitative statements that we made is the figures we gave you. We gave you statistics showing how many people affected, the young people affected. Today, we have 51%, like he said, 51% of female sexual workers infected with HIV. We have 3% at national level people affected. So we should not ignore that component. And actually, as we protect the kids, we are also telling the mothers. You talked about abstinence. You can also abstain.
Yes.
If you decide to say, I'm abstaining till I get married, probably. It's not sex for everyone because you're grown up. So, but we should also take into account and take this as something very paramount to talk to our peers, our kids, to know, to understand, mold them into what we want. So I mentioned from the beginning a question of character. And that should be a responsibility of parents and a responsibility of teachers. And that would be great because nobody really is pushing for condom. No, we are only saying if abstinence fails, if being faithfulness, because we have grown-up kids, grown-up people who cannot be faithful. They're cheating everywhere.
So they should jump on it. So thank you so much. I think we'll end it at that particular note. But there were so many other issues we were supposed to look at, of course, also at prisons, because there are some people who are asking whether we can as well have mass distribution of these condoms at prisons. Is this happening today?
Sure, I think we are into a process at SFH, but at national level, I think it's something that is being looked into. And at SFH, we make sure we put condoms wherever is possible. We have applied the 4 A's: accessibility, availability, acceptance, and what else?
Anangwe. I think we'll end on that particular note.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your thoughts and insights. It's a wide topic which I think we need a plan B and around.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. Of course, thank you also for watching. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you for always being there and waiting for the program. We'll be back again right here in your screens or on your screens or in your living rooms or wherever you're watching us right about now. Again on Wednesday at 9 to 10 p.m. My name as always is Eugene Anangwe. I'll see you again next time. Goodbye for now.